Well, folks, we have an update to our prior story a couple days ago. Remember, we had a rumor about the Nintendo Switch 2 releasing in March, being revealed in January. This little 2-month marketing thing, which a lot of you guys don't think is possible, but I'm actually going to get into some arguments why that 2-month marketing cycle could work, and then obviously go into, the obvious reasons on why it wouldn't work or would never happen. But before I do, one thing we talked about with this source coming out of the Weibo place in China was that the only reason we really had any believability with this source wasn't based on them getting things correct in the past, but was actually based on a hidden post at FamiBoards that I couldn't read, and I just had to take people's reactionary words to it being reliable. Now we have some actual direct proof that this source seems to actually be somewhat credible. Now, I want to remind you guys, this still makes it a rumor, and you should never really have more than a 50-50 believability factor when it comes to any rumor. If you go higher than that, you are buying way too much in. And even for me, I'm still kind of in the 1/3 or 33% believability in terms of like actually releasing in March, although I really wanted to. But this does actually raise up that percentage, because it turns out the person in China that is the direct source on this for it being revealed in January and releasing in March, turns out they nailed almost all the big announcements in the June Direct. They leaked them out there before the Direct happened, and they did it in a way that made it sound like they don't know what they're talking about, but then they got it all right. Pretty interesting. I can't wait to dive into it. Oh, and by the way, another thing, this user has now gone ahead and deleted all their posts. And what did they leave up instead? One post saying, "The ninjas are after me." We all know about the Nintendo ninjas. It's a real thing. I don't know if the user's playing it up, but that's pretty interesting that now they have all this attention. They went ahead and deleted everything. Does that add to credibility? I'll let you guys be the decision maker on that. That being said, we're going to dive right into this. After I remind you, we're on our road to 140,000 subscribers. If you're enjoying the video and you want to stay updated on Switch 2, the next Mario game, and all the other stuff, all you got to do is subscribe right here. So where are we getting all this stuff from? Well, actually, Central Leaks discovered this, believe it or not. This is a Chinese leaker claims that Nintendo Switch 2 is getting revealed in January for a March launch. This person leaked in Weibo correctly pretty much everything regarding the last Nintendo Direct, but was largely ignored in the West. So this is the post that we went over ourselves, but this is the evidence here. Now, this is going to be really, really small. So what I did is I went ahead and obviously downloaded this image, and then, we could zoom in and all that stuff then. So we're going to go ahead and go to the very beginning of this image, and this is where things start to get pretty crazy. So this is that same user, Hom or whatever, however, the translation might not be 100% correct. It says, repost, this is back on June 18th again, this is before the Direct. "If there is a 2D Zelda, I will announce Nintendo is the greatest company of 2024. Obviously, Echoes of Wisdom was announced. All right, fine. Someone took a shot in the dark at a 2D Zelda. Not a big deal. Oh, repost, here it is, Metroid Prime 4. So he reposted this, and then he said Metroid Prime 4. Okay, guess what? Metroid Prime 4 Beyond was announced in the Direct. Okay, he reposted this, and it says, "I wonder what games will be in a Direct after I feel like this year's holiday title is Mario Party." Now remember, he didn't say it was Mario Party. He basically retweeted somebody who said it, seemingly that he knows it was Mario Party. Well, guess what? Mario Party Jamboree. Then he just straight up says Dragon Quest 1 through 3 Remake, which, surprise for Dragon Quest 1 through 3 Remake. Now again, there were already rumors about this thing existing, but hey, he put it out there. And then, AA fan base is horrible. Again, got that correct. King of Ports, Ace Attorney. Got that correct. MBCS, but post about Saga 2. So, the point is that he literally got a bunch of stuff correct. Almost every single big announcement in that Direct correct. So, that actually just lends some credence to him. And again, I don't know if he just got lucky and had a source on one thing, and ergo, you got all that right, so now everything seems to seem believable. That sometimes happens where you get a hold of one piece of information, and then people just assume you're going to be correct about everything. I can give you actually a personal example for that. I got a hold of information about some marketing plans for Tears of the Kingdom. I talked about that stuff. The stuff ended up happening exactly as I said it would. But just because I had some information like that doesn't suddenly mean I have information on everything Nintendo's doing, right? Like there's a big difference between getting lucky and knowing somebody and getting one piece of information versus, hey, now I know all the Switch 2 plans. But so we have to be a little careful with that, in that just because they had a source that clearly told them a bunch of stuff about the upcoming Direct doesn't mean that, they have a source for Switch 2. But it also could mean that they do. It kind of depends on how they got this information. Now, again, the Family Boards post sort of explained who this person was and how they could get this information that I guess makes sense. That post has been deleted as well. In fact, I know Family Boards is a little upset I even made my video, because after I made my video, a bunch of news websites went ahead and picked this up. And I'm actually glad that a bunch of news websites did, because I think them picking it up is what led to the discovery that this person actually has a track record from earlier this year that now makes it even more worth talking about. So for the content creators and other people out there that were trying to make fun of me for covering it, it looks like we actually have even more reasons to be covering this. It's almost as if, you should really dive in deep and do the real research here, rather than just going surface level, which is what most people were doing. Like, hey, did you know there was a hidden post on Family Boards giving the person credibility? A lot of people didn't even bring that up, even though I brought it up in my video and linked directly to said post. Anyways, none of that really matters because the post doesn't exist anymore. This person over there deleted everything, as did the person Kyson over on Family Boards deleted at least their original post that added credibility to this. So in the end, everyone's trying to run and hide because they're afraid of getting fired or afraid of ninjas or whatever reason they're afraid of. Now, setting all of this aside, what I actually want to talk about is this idea of, if this is true, how does a 2-month marketing cycle work? I think it's actually pretty easy, and I think it's really easy. Look, when we talk about a marketing cycle, it's not us hardcore fans that need a long marketing cycle, right? The biggest argument for having a 6-month, a year-long marketing cycle is the casual consumer, right? The people that aren't watching Nintendo Directs. They're not paying attention to everything Nintendo is doing. They're not watching Nintendo YouTubers. They're not visiting gaming websites that are talking about this stuff, listening to gaming. Like the non-hardcore, the more casual people, like a majority of the audience that probably ended up buying Mario Kart, right? Like, how are they going to know a new system is coming if we don't have a long marketing cycle? I think that is a bit of a misnomer, and let me explain why. I was there for the Wii U's marketing cycle. It was revealed in 2010, right? 2010. Us hardcore knew about it. Nobody else. They talked about it again in 2011. Okay, us hardcore knew about it, but nobody else. Then they didn't talk about it again until E3 2012. Then, after they revealed it, they didn't bother to start marketing the Wii U. There wasn't commercials and all this other stuff till 3 months after, or in other words, 2 months before it came out. Then they started running commercials. Now, we use a bad example because obviously it turns out the general consumer maybe never knew about it, or if they did, they just didn't care. There's a lot of reasons the Wii U didn't really do well, but the Wii U still sold out at launch because the hardcore faithful were buying it. Now, the reason I bring this all up is this is actually pretty typical for all platforms. The PlayStation 5 was originally revealed to be coming in 2019 at an investors meeting. They dropped it out there. Okay, that's cool. Then they didn't talk about it all the way until the summer before it came out. They did an event where they, blew out, a big blowout for PlayStation 5. And then they didn't talk about it again for a few months until they were about 2 months from release. And then they started dropping all the commercials and all the marketing. You maybe notice a pattern here. It's not that hard to market something. And I brought up PlayStation for a reason. It's not that hard to market something, and you don't need a lot of time if that something is obvious. Something called a PlayStation 5 is very obviously, when consumers hear that, general consumers, they already know that's the next PlayStation. If Nintendo just labels this Switch 2, that naming alone, once the general consumer hears it, they'll already know, oh, that's the brand new generation of Nintendo Switch. It's very easy marketing. So what I'm actually trying to point out is that all these long-winded 6-month, year-long marketing schemes that people think we need are actually just full of a bunch of months where they're not marketing the platform at all. I kid you not. Like, it's really just a lot of dead air. So you reveal, say nothing for a while, talk some more, say nothing, get a couple months out from release, and then you start marketing the hell out of it. I'll give you even an example with Switch. Well, Switch was obviously, massively huge trailer and all that when they revealed it in October. That trailer wasn't like a commercial. It wasn't. My mom didn't see that trailer, right? She didn't know what a Switch was. She found out what Switch was when the Super Bowl commercial happened. And guess what? All their mass marketing for Switch 2 began when? All right, January to March, 2 months. Guys, this idea that we need these long marketing cycles and to explain this to consumers aren't as dumb as you think. If you just call it Nintendo Switch 2, they already know it's the next generation Switch. If they already love Switch and enjoy Switch, they're already going to be sold on the next one by just knowing the next one exists so long as it has games. Now, the biggest counter argument would obviously be like the launch game marketing. While obviously they only had, a couple months of hardcore marketing for Nintendo Switch, they obviously had much longer for Breath of the Wild, right? It was revealed in 2014, came out in 2017. They started marketing the thing, obviously, in the summer of 2016 with people being able to go hands-on and, people being able to go even further than we could with the public demo, but having to wait before they could talk about it. Yes, they obviously had a lot longer to market Breath of the Wild. But I will note that Tears of the Kingdom's marketing, even though this is funny, even though Tears of the Kingdom, was revealed in 2019 and then shown again and then told, well, right, like they had these little teases along the way, these little trailers. All those trailers again are for us. That wasn't general consumer marketing. When did general consumer marketing begin? Oh, wait, a month before the game came out. That's when the general consumer became aware of the Tears of the Kingdom, because that's when they started running commercials on TikTok and YouTube and commercials. Basically, commercials and in-store advertising are the best ways that you reach. And people are like, oh, commercial. Yes, on streaming services. Amazon runs commercials. Netflix, I think, now has a commercial program. Obviously, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, ads and commercials, right? That is how you end up getting your news out to general consumers, combined with obviously retail marketing. So this is my thing. Retailers are going to know long beforehand that they're going to be marketing the system, right? They're going to know before 2 months. Like Nintendo, reps will have already been out there and already reserved the marketing places. Like if they want a poster at Walmart, like on their little security scanner, if they want, some advertising in the electronics section of Walmart, they'll already have negotiated that before it's even revealed. Like that's just normal things that businesses do. They negotiate all that stuff ahead of time because the stores don't need to know exactly what the marketing material is. They could just know, oh, it's for a new system, or Nintendo just wants to buy some advertising space. I say all of this because the 2-month marketing plan isn't as crazy as it sounds. It's basically just eliminating all the dead months where they say nothing and just getting right into launch marketing. It honestly works. It honestly makes a lot of sense when you actually think about it that way. Like that pretty much all the marketing that needs to be done to launch a system doesn't need a year-long process or 6 months, because they don't actually advertise the damn thing that entire time. You hit the ground running with a big reveal in January. You start rolling out some smaller commercials and ads on YouTube and stuff. You hit with the Super Bowl commercial. That's how you're really going to get out there to the mass consumer base, is a Super Bowl commercial. But a Super Bowl commercial doesn't really work if the system's not coming out soon. It's got to come out soon. Consumers don't like to have to be told something and then it comes out 6 months later. Because if they get told at a Super Bowl commercial about the Switch 2, but it's not out till September, they're just going to kind of forget about it. They're going to forget about it. So that is the argument, obviously, that could support this possibly happening. Now, the counter argument is essentially Nintendo's never done it this way. The shortest was Nintendo Switch, and that was a 4.5 month thing. Of course, every time we talk about the 4.5 months, we don't talk about when they actually started advertising to the general consumer. We always talk about, well, they revealed it in October. Yeah, that was for us. The general consumer wasn't marketed to until January. So arguably not even till the Super Bowl commercial. So I just sit back and go that they don't really need this. They don't really need this long marketing cycle. I've talked about this before, and now I'm kind of bringing that argument to head. But again, this is still just a rumor. It is still something that Nintendo's never done. PlayStation doesn't do. And when I say Nintendo's never done it, I'm not talking about Switch Lite, Switch OLED, DS Lite, all that stuff. Yeah, all those revisions they've done this with, and most of those revisions actually sold pretty well. So that's an argument as well that Nintendo was able to mass market all these revisions that quick. Why can't they do that with this? But some people think like we need like this long explanation to try to sell people on Switch 2. I'm sorry, does Sony need a lot of explanation to sell people on a PlayStation? Or is it just enough for consumers to know it's the next PlayStation and here's some games? That's it. It's not the systems kind of sell themselves. You know, like if you made a good enough system with great branding and great games, the systems sell themselves. You don't need this like, if you need a complicated marketing plan to sell a product, to convince people on a product, you're in trouble. It shouldn't be that hard. The reveal itself should be all you need to sell people. But since that reveal isn't going to be in a commercial that gets to people, you just kind of cut up the reveal and put it in different commercialized things and then do commercials so people understand. I don't know. That's just me, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Again, it's still a rumor. Don't just walk in believing this 100%, but it does add some credibility to the idea of Nintendo Switch 2 launching in March. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll catch you in the next video.